Meanwhile, Eid's father and the mage were fighting inside the chamber, their mana clashing violently. The entire room trembled as bursts of mana exploded around them. The mage then used her high light magic, Blade of Radiance. Magical blades began floating through the air from all directions, surrounding Eid's father and trapping him in the center. While calmly chewing gum, the mage declared in a cold manner that from that moment onward, the place had become a restricted area. She implied that if he felt dissatisfied, he should try to break through and come over. Eid's father remained silent. Eventually, he sat down on the floor, weakened, and acknowledged that she had prepared a lot. He admitted that it would be difficult to break through her defense. Meanwhile, below, Eid saw his sister in that condition and was completely shocked. Arwin gave a weak smile and remarked that it seemed he had changed a lot since the last time she saw him. It had been a long time, and she noted the moment of reunion with her brother, Eid. Seeing his sister in such a state filled Eid with deep sadness. He struggled to find the right words and lost his voice. In the end, all he could do was call out his sister's name. Yenneker looked at the scene, gasped in shock, and immediately covered her own face. Arwin was suspended in midair, impaled through the chest by a tall, dark staff or spear. Her body hung forward in a state of unconsciousness, with her arms hanging lifelessly. At the point where the base of the staff touched the floor, a glowing magical circle was shining beneath it. Arwin explained that it was not a pleasant sight. She believed that seeing her like that might only hurt him. Still, even so, she had wanted to see him at least once, Eid. At that moment, Eid reflected on who she truly was. Arwin Rothstaler, the older sister of the original owner of this body. Eid, she was a character whose existence had been completely unknown in the main story. As the moment lingered, Arwin asked about his life at Sylvania Academy. Eid immediately stated that now was not the time to ask that. Arwin reminded Eid that after their terrible fight, he had ended up leaving her, leaving the entire family behind. Eid responded with a cold reminder that she should have left as well. He pointed out that she had known the truth too. She had been aware of Krepin Rothstaler's crimes, yet she had still chosen to follow him. Arwin insisted that their father's actions could not be called evil. In her eyes, he had raised them with great care, and had passed down the glory of their great family to them. Because of that, she believed Eid should return as well. She wanted him to stand beside their father again, reminding him that they were family, and that they would remain together forever. As she said this, Arwin gently placed her hand on Eid's cheek and smiled softly. However, Eid's expression turned dark. With a cold look in his eyes, he removed her hand from his cheek and firmly put an end to the act. In that moment, he made it clear that the person standing before him was not Arwin Rothstaler. The fake Arwin froze in shock. Soon after, the illusion began to crack. The left side of her face fell into deep shadow, becoming twisted and disfigured. From that darkness, a glowing red eye appeared, reptilian and almost demonic, staring out with an unsettling presence. The fake Arwin suddenly reacted with suspicion and demanded to know how he had figured it out, emphasizing the fact that the person in front of him was only a fake. Soon after, the truth was revealed. The figure standing there was not Arwin at all. It was actually their father, Krepin, disguising himself. Krepin then began explaining Arwin's past. He revealed that Arwin had voluntarily participated in dangerous experiments in order to handle the evil god. She had followed him and supported his actions until the very moment she eventually lost her sense of self. He also revealed another hidden truth from the past. His son Eid had left for Sylvania after a huge and bitter fight with Arwin. Even within the Rothstaler estate, only a very small number of people knew about this incident. Because of that, Krepin was deeply suspicious. He could not understand how someone pretending to be Eid, a mere fake, could possibly know about something so secret. Eid remained completely silent after hearing those words. Instead of answering, his thoughts began to drift inward as he reflected on what he had learned. Just as Krepin had said, Eid had indeed had a major fight with Arwin in the past. The truth had been discovered through the massive number of letters found inside Eid's room. By carefully reading through all of them, he had managed to piece together what had happened. The letters had all been written during a very short period of time, right after the fight with Arwin and just before Eid entered Sylvania Academy. Because they were written within such a brief period, many of the letters repeated the same content again and again. As these memories surfaced, the story shifted into a scene from the past, the moment when the huge argument between Arwin and Eid had taken place. In that heated moment, Eid had grabbed a table and violently thrown it aside. The table shattered as it hit the ground, the books and documents that had been neatly arranged on it scattered everywhere across the floor. Consumed by anger, Eid had shouted at Arwin, desperately demanding to know why she would not stop their father. Arwin, however, had only smiled gently. She calmly observed that it was the first time Eid had ever shown anger toward her. Eid, unable to control his rage, had pointed toward a book and shouted for her to look at it. The book was a historical record about the evil god of the mythic age, Nebula, a god known for governing hatred and rage. It was not an ordinary book. The imperial family itself had officially designated it as a forbidden text. The contents of the book described horrifying rituals. In order to summon the evil god, countless human beings had to be offered as sacrifices. Among those sacrifices, people of royal blood or high-ranking nobles with great prestige were considered especially valuable. Eid's fists clenched tightly, and he ground his teeth in frustration. He insisted that Arwin already knew all of this. Their father would use absolutely any means necessary to achieve his goal. And eventually, Arwin herself would become the next target. Arwin calmly answered that she already knew. Her response shocked Eid completely. Despite knowing the danger, Arwin explained that their father possessed a great purpose, and that supporting him was the policy of their family. Hearing this, Eid reacted with disbelief and fear. Arwin then continued with a cold but decisive conclusion. If Eid could not accept the family's path, he should leave the family immediately. She then pointed out something personal about him. Eid had never been particularly talented at physical activities. Because of that, she suggested that he try studying magic instead. As it happened, the application period for Sylvania Academy was currently open. Eid stood there in burning anger, clenching his teeth in rage. Yet in contrast to his fury, Arwin continued to smile gently. At the same time, tears slowly flowed down her face. With that emotional memory fading, the story returned to the present moment. Eid silently reflected on everything he had learned. He realized that Arwin had been the only person who had accepted Krepin completely until the very end. Even so, she had never forced her opinions onto him. In fact, it had been Arwin herself who had encouraged Eid to leave and go to Sylvania Academy. Just a short time earlier, the person pretending to be Arwin had told him to come back and reunite with the family. Because of that contradiction, the truth became clear in Eid's mind. There was absolutely no reason for the real Arwin to suddenly call Eid back into the family. And because of that realization, Eid fully understood that the person standing before him was not Arwin at all. Eid remained silent. Krepin calmly remarked that there was indeed no reason for him to answer. Shortly after saying that, Krepin's demonic soul left the body of the fake Arwin. The body immediately became lifeless and collapsed to the ground. Eid clenched his fists tightly. At that very moment, the entire place began shaking violently. A massive roar echoed throughout the surroundings. The sound was so intense that Eid became shocked and visibly nervous. Yennecar panicked and cried out in fear, saying that the place looked like it was about to collapse and asking what they should do. Eid reacted to the terrifying roar with growing realization and fear. He recognized the sound and worriedly thought that it could not possibly be what he was imagining. The scene then shifted to the chamber above. There Krepin was sitting weakly. His energy had almost completely drained after the intense battle. Despite his weakened state, he spoke to the mage in front of him and admitted that he had already confirmed how powerful she was as a mage. He acknowledged that she was not someone he could face alone. As expected, fighting her by himself had proven to be extremely difficult. At that moment, Krepin raised his hand into the air. A terrifying green aura burst out from his palm. Above his hand appeared a massive floating eye, enormous in size and radiating dark power as it hovered in the air. Seeing this horrifying sight caused the mage to panic. In a sudden movement, Krepin unleashed power that destroyed all the floating light magic blades surrounding him. Every single blade created by the Blade of Radiance shattered instantly. Krepin then summoned the omnipotent evil god, Nebula, with chilling confidence. He asked the devil if he could borrow its power. Once the evil god's power began flowing through him, Krepin extended his grotesque octopus-like arms. Those unnatural arms stretched throughout the banquet hall and pierced directly into the hearts of the people gathered there. One by one, the people inside the banquet began dying. They screamed desperately for help as chaos erupted everywhere. Within the Rothsteller territory, countless lives were suddenly in danger. The screams, destruction, and violent chaos echoed through the castle, and even Eid could hear them clearly from where he stood. Seeing Arwin's lifeless body again filled him with grief and rage. Eid clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. Then, without hesitation, he picked Yennecar up in his arms. Yennecar was completely shocked by the sudden action. Eid quickly told her that they had to run immediately. The two of them rushed outside. When they looked around, they saw that Krepin had already taken control of the entire castle using the evil god's power. Above them floated the terrifying presence of the evil god, Nebula. A gigantic crimson eye glowed intensely in the sky as the creature observed everything below. Eid quickly spoke to Yennecar and told her to listen carefully. He explained that the magic circle they had seen earlier had been created to offer sacrifices to the evil god. It must have manifested by borrowing Nebula's power. The evil god Nebula never granted human wishes without demanding a price. And now they themselves were the sacrifices. If they remained within the range, when that magic circle activated, there was a very high chance that they would lose their lives. Eid then reminded her that they were the only two people who had witnessed exactly what had happened down there. Because of that, their survival was extremely important. Before he could finish his thought, Yennecar suddenly spoke. She calmly pointed out that if she told him to run outside the range beforehand, he would probably become angry. Eid looked at her in shock. Yennecar then told him to listen carefully. She confessed that she could die for him. However, she insisted that both of them had to survive. If Eid ended up dying, she said she would not be able to tolerate it. Embarrassed by her own words, she quickly tried to correct herself, saying she only meant it in that way. Yennecar's face turned bright red as she became extremely shy. Eid acknowledged her feelings, but reminded her that an evil god was currently floating in the sky above them. He suddenly warned her to watch out. In the next instant, Eid moved quickly and shielded Yennecar with his body. The two of them were thrown aside and crashed onto the ground. When Eid looked up again, he saw someone falling nearby. It was the mage, Lucy. Lucy commented that the creature they were facing was definitely not easy to deal with. Eid immediately asked if she was okay. Lucy explained that the way the monster used mana was extremely unusual. Defensive magic did not work against it at all. The attack patterns resembled gravity magic, yet at the same time it felt like pure physical force manifesting directly. She concluded that it was absolutely not a normal type of magic. It was using a form of magic that ordinary mana control simply could not counter. Eid worriedly told Lucy that if it was becoming too difficult for her to continue holding out any longer, she should stop. Lucy calmly responded that she would win. She then declared that the one who was barely holding out was not her, but that giant eyeball monster. Lucy immediately began using her magic. She unleashed high-explosion magic, ruined directly toward the evil god Nebula. The attacks did not stop there. She followed it with 58 consecutive strikes, and then combined it with supreme explosion magic, moment of creation. Lucy's body was overflowing with an enormous amount of mana, and she used every bit of that power to bombard the evil god with destructive magic. After releasing the attacks, Lucy collapsed from exhaustion. Eid rushed forward and caught her, asking if she was all right. Lucy told him to move away from her immediately, because it was dangerous to stay nearby. She then reminded him of his true objective. He was supposed to capture that man. Eid stayed silent. Lucy sighed and continued speaking, while still focusing on the battle against Nebula. She told him to finish the job properly. That was exactly why she had come there to help. With that, Lucy once again launched herself toward the evil god, preparing to fight with everything she had. Seeing this, Eid immediately gave instructions to Yennecar. While Lucy dealt with Nebula, Yennecar needed to save as many people as she possibly could. Because she controlled many spirits, she could cover a wide area at once and help countless victims. Yennecar then asked what Eid himself planned to do. Eid answered firmly. He would go and capture Krepin Rothstaler. With that decision made, Eid moved forward without hesitation, advancing toward Krepin in order to capture him and end the chaos.